Alright, peace, Jessica. Welcome. This is going to be a reading. And so, in this session, we are going to be covering primarily your 7 planets and the placements. So your Sun, your Moon, your Mercury, your Jupiter, your Saturn. But also we will talk a little bit about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Just so you know, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are not as important as the first 7 planets, as those planets are more personal planets. Meanwhile, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are generational planets. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so without further ado, let's begin. So first things first, right, you are a Gemini. You have your Sun in Gemini in the 6th house. So specifically, you were born in the later days of Gemini, right? You were born on the 20th of June. I was born on the 19th. Awesome. So you were born when the Sun was in the area of the stars associated with Ursa Major. You feel what I'm saying? And so Ursa Major is a constellation found within the Gemini constellation, in the sense that there are constellations within these constellations. Overall, the Gemini constellation makes the twins, you feel me? The 2 twins, right? But within the Gemini constellation, we have the Little Bear, Ursa Minor. We have Canis Major, which is a dog, a slim dog. And then we have Ursa Major, you feel me, which is the big bear. This is also the deacon of reason. The reason why this constellation was signified by a huge bear is because it signifies the hugeness and power of thought, you feel me, of the mind. This is the deacon of reason within the Gemini deacon. So there are 3 deacons within the Gemini deacon. The first deacon is the deacon of intuition. These are the most mercurial individuals. These are, being intuitive, they have an ability to pick up on information without even studying it. You feel what I'm saying? Being intuitive. They're also really, really good with people and cells and things like that. That's a Geminian thing. So in the last deacon of Gemini, you feel me, the deacon of reason, we become infatuated with information one way or another. You feel what I'm saying? You have it in the 6th house. Your Sun is in Gemini in the 6th house. So the 6th house is ruled by the sign Virgo. Virgo is a sign of labor and routines and patterns and even health. And so too is the 6th house. The 6th house is the house that deals with work. It signifies the labors which you are asked to fulfill in your environment of work. You feel me? And so with Mercury, my apologies, I don't know if you heard that vibrating. There's this really cool sound coming from the speaker. But anyways, so as I was saying, the 6th house deals with labor, it deals with work, it deals with resources, making sure that you have enough. It deals with being practical and being grounded in this physical world. It also deals with being service orientated and wanting to service and help others, you feel me? And so with you having your Sun in Gemini within the 6th house, so your 6th house is in Gemini. So what this means is that Mercury is ruling over your 6th house, which is your house of work. And so Mercury is a sign that deals with writing, it deals with communication, it deals with commerce, you feel me? But it also deals with transportation, but it deals with anything that deals with the mind and how you interact with your mind amongst the community. You feel what I'm saying? Mercury also deals with learning, how you intake information, but at the same time how you take information out. So with Mercury ruling over your 6th house, idealistically the work environments you attract to yourself deal with information, you feel me? And so this can be like, maybe a lot of your work asks you to be in customer service and talking to people, you feel me? This can even be like work that asks that you work on writing, a lot, or you work utilizing your hands, but specifically the mind, you feel me? And so I do see that you also have like your Saturn, you feel me, in Capricorn. And we'll get a little bit back into what that all means. But when Saturn goes into Capricorn, these are individuals that become very grounded in this physical world. They become grounded with the ideology of stability. But from the standpoint of they think it's important, and it is important to them, you feel me? It's important for them to be stable. And that's with Saturn, you know, being in Capricorn. So, you know, and your Sun is already in the place of work, you feel me? Which indicates that you're a type of individual. You bring a lot of your energy and your focus in your work life, you feel me? So it's important that you produce as you possibly can to your ability, harmony within, you know what I'm saying, the work life, because that's where the Sun is, so that's where your energy goes, you feel me? And so now let's look at your moon also. You have your moon in Taurus. Okay, you have your moon in Taurus, so that signifies in a sense emotional security and stability, in a sense that the moon is exalted in Taurus, because when the moon is in Taurus, you know, it can be a little bit more stable, a little bit more grounded in their emotions. So these are types of individuals who have an ability to sit and the observer seat, you feel me, and not get all too emotionally involved, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's the moon in Taurus. But I wanted to get back into the Gemini, you know, your Sun in Gemini. So I also want to tell you this, you know, Gemini, so this is the decan of Gemini that's sub-ruled by Uranus and Saturn, because it's the Aquarius decan of Gemini. You know, and Aquarius is a sign that's very psychic, it's very magnetic, you feel me? And so one thing you should know about yourself is that you and of yourself possess great magnetism, which probably expresses through charisma, you feel me? But when I say magnetism, I mean like, it's like this energy of influence, you feel me? And I also want to say this, so Gemini rules the nervous system, but Gemini rules the nervous system through its association with Mercury, you feel what I'm saying? But ultimately, as Geminis, we in of ourselves become more tense, and we have more nervous energy, you feel me? So also, yeah, that's another way that it can play out, you feel me? But yeah, I want to let you know that. Also, magnetism, another thing is thoughts, you feel me? Like our thoughts, before they're physical, they're electromagnetic, you feel me? A thought is electrical, and your emotion is the magnetic thing, you feel what I'm saying? And Gemini rules the mind, Gemini rules the thought. And so with your Sun being in Gemini, you would benefit a lot from investing into your thoughts, your ideologies, the way that you think. You would benefit a lot from, for instance, learning how to learn properly. Like, I don't know if you knew that, but you know, there's people out there that teach you how to learn, you know. I feel like one superpower about Gemini is our ability to intake and process information, you feel me? So I think that's also another thing that you should benefit and peep game and acknowledge, you feel me? But it's like, negatively though, you know, as a Gemini, first and foremost, Gemini is a personal sign, you know, so we can get caught up in our heads, you know, and detached from the world, you feel me? And I think that's one negative thing. Another negative thing is like our inability to stick to one thing, because we're continuously changing and shifting mentally, you feel what I'm saying? As I'm sure you know, Gemini is a sign that deals with duality, you know. So with that being said, it's also the third sign, the number 3. So the number 3 is the Holy Trinity, you feel me? It deals with unification of the mind, the body, and the soul, you feel what I'm saying? And so with that being said, it's important for you to learn to unify the dualities that manifest within you as your emotions and your thoughts, your heart and your mind, you feel me? Yeah, you know, that's the primary unification when it comes to Gemini, you know, unifying the heart and the mind, you know. And I feel like Gemini, you know, because we're so airy and logical, I think one thing for us to move away from is trying to explain emotion rather than feel emotion. You know, sometimes this can even play out as someone coming to us with their emotions and us not having the ability to feel their emotion, but try to logicalize and reasonalize their emotion. So with that being said, sometimes, you know, we Geminis, we may have trouble understanding why people are emotional and why they can't just stop being emotional. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. But it's the same thing with us as well, within ourselves. Because as it is within, it will be without. You feel me? And so, I say that to say this to you. When you are feeling your emotions, try and bypass the Geminian habit to want to think through your emotions and actually just allow yourself to feel your emotions. And so the value and benefit in that is that when you start to feel your emotions, you feel me, and you really experience them, then you get closer to a path of emotional nourishment. You get closer to a position of knowing how you can emotionally nourish yourself, what you need to emotionally nourish yourself. For what I'm saying, so yeah, that's one thing with Gemini. Another thing is the mind. You know, our minds can be chaotic. We can overthink. You feel me? But like with your moon being in Taurus, this signifies a slowing down of thinking, in the sense that it's like, even though your thoughts are crazy and all over the place, you likely have a foundation for those thoughts. You feel me? You likely have a foundation. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, as I was saying though, yeah, you know, the mind. It's important to get into meditation and, you know, learn how to silence and quiet your mind. And what you should be sharpening are your communication skills. You feel me? And dabble into the different forms of communication as well. You feel me? I feel like as a Gemini, you know, especially emotional articulation, it's valuable to know that sometimes to express yourself, you don't just have to use words. Sometimes you can write a letter. You feel me? You can make an image. You feel me? A painting or whatever. You know, the different forms of articulation. Like as a Gemini, like one thing that may also fascinate you possibly is like other languages, you know, but just communication in general. But it's like with the sun in Gemini in the 6th house, you're a sort of individual who you can deal really well in servicing humanity in that department that deals with communication, that deals with the mind, intellect, you know, like for example, like if you were to be like a doctor, you know, like you probably one way or another deal with the mind or like the nervous system or like the brain or even like the lungs maybe, because those are all things ruled by the sign Gemini. The lungs, the hands, the arms. But ultimately, to conclude this, understand that Gemini deals with the mind. So learn about the different faculties of the mind, you know, learn about like imagination and learn to develop your imagination, you feel me? Learn about reasoning and learn to develop your reasoning abilities. Develop your perception, your ability to perceive things from different planes, you feel me? Your memory, and last, your will, you feel me? These are different mental mind tools that I feel like a Gemini would benefit from knowing and understanding. What I'm saying. But yeah, you know, like with the 6th house in Gemini, like this can even be that like in your workspace, it may be a scatteredness energy, or you may even be dealing with ideas like with that moon in Taurus. I wouldn't be surprised if you're a musician, you know. I mean, I bring up musician, but it's because like I also look through your pictures, of course, you know, and I noticed that, I don't know, it looked like you were making music. That's what it looked like to me. And so moon, well, Taurus in general, Taurus is a sign, you feel me? It's a sign that deals with the music abilities and talents. Like Taurus rules the throat, you feel me, the voice and the tongue, you know. And so if you didn't have these air placements, I also want to say this, Taurus, you know, it's so sensual and it deals with the senses, it deals with touch, you feel me? Like a Taurus's love language is touch, and as a Sun Gemini, Moon Taurus, you may be a type of individual who likes to express maybe your communication through, but that may not even, but I feel like at the same time, because the moon in Taurus, this more deals with what's personal to you, because the moon deals with the emotions, it deals with the inner self, the inner child, you feel me, things that are more personal to you. And so simultaneously it can even play out as like touch is a vulnerability for you, right? And yeah, it can play out either way. One way is you like to utilize touch to express your emotions, or touch gets you emotional, one way or the other, with the moon being in Taurus here. So right, the moon, as I said earlier, is exalted in Taurus. So Taurus is a sign, before what I'm saying, that is ruled by the planet Venus. It's a feminine sign, it's an earthly sign, so it deals with like the material, it deals with material possessions. And I'm gonna go back to Gemini real quick, you feel me, because I forgot to cover that Gemini's thought trend is I think, you feel me. So with your sun being in Gemini, one thing that becomes of great prominence is your thoughts, your ideas, what you think, and that's what you express. Geminis who enjoy sharing ideas and merging ideas with other people, things like that. So yeah, it's a thought. That's Gemini. It rules over thought. Taurus rules over possession, possessing things, accumulating things, having things, you feel me? And Taurus's thought trend is I have. So Taurus is a sign that deals with material security. It deals with security in general, but it attains security through acquiring values, you feel me? So for a Taurus, what's really important is that the values they have inside of them are suitable to bridge the values they want outside of them. In other words, Tauruses, first and foremost, being an earth sign, is very practical. They like to equip themselves with skills and abilities of practicality that allow them to be employed, and be of value to an employer. So Taurus, in the body, it not only rules the throat and the lung, it not only rules the throat but in the tongue, but it also rules the base of the brain, for what I'm saying. And so the base of the brain, which Taurus rules, deals with motor functions. It deals with certain things that we have done repetitively that it just is subconscious, And with that being said, Tauruses, they're great laborers, they're hard workers, Taurus is the bull, right? As you know, and Taurus being the bull, the bull has given so much to humanity in the sense of agriculture. And so Tauruses typically bring a lot of value to humanity, but from a place of the material plane. I think they can contribute greatly to the social life. Like they can even be like philanthropists, entrepreneurs who acquire a lot of money and then are using their money, to demonstrate generosity, if that makes sense. Because yeah, although that's more Capricorn than Taurus. But see, Taurus, because it's ruled by Venus, the planet of beauty, evolutionaristically speaking, Taurus, because it's an earth sign, it's bound to the material world, and a lot of the times Tauruses struggle with seeing outside of the tangible world, you feel me, and seeing into like maybe faith, you feel me, or hold on. No, I bring that up because Tauruses, they can be so practical that they may become like, I want to say, disconnected and detached from their spiritual abilities and natures because they're so concerned with the physical, for what I'm saying. And I think you may be able to relate with this, not because you have your moon in Taurus, but also because you have like your Saturn in Capricorn and your ascendant in Capricorn, especially with your ascendant being in Capricorn, you feel me? But then you also have like your moon, your sun in the 6th house. And with the sun in the 6th house, work becomes of importance, you can even become a workaholic. type energy. But yeah, Venus and Taurus energy, like I'm gonna peep your chart real quick. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, so like Venus, Moon and Taurus. So yeah, you have your Moon in Taurus, 25 degrees Taurus. Okay, so you have so you have your Sun in Gemini. Mercury is also in Gemini. Then you have Mars, which is in Aries. And then you have Jupiter in Capricorn. So because you have a Mars in Aries, that contributes greatly to your metabolism, your metabolic ability, in the sense that according to people's charts, you feel me, you also gain an awareness of their ability to gain weight, you feel me, in the sense that earth signs and water signs, they are accumulations of energy. You know what I'm saying? Earth and water are the densest elements, in the sense that air and fire are light elements. Meanwhile, earth and water are dense elements. And so what this means is that people that have a abundance of earth or abundance of air, an abundance of earth or abundance of water in their chart, they are more susceptible to gain weight. But it's like Mars, when it goes into Aries, Mars is at home in Aries, you feel what I'm saying? And so in Aries, Mars is raw power. Mars is the ram, you feel me? It's ramming shit, you feel what I'm saying? It's because Aries is the sign of activity, of execution, you feel me? It deals with exaltation, exaltation of self. When I say exaltation of self, you can think of power, you feel me? Because Aries' doctrine is the I am, and it belongs to the ego, it is the energy of the ego, the I, the me, the we, So when Mars is in Aries, these are individuals that are very self-driven and persistent, and they're not going to give up, you feel me, regardless of, they don't give up, you feel me, with Mars and Aries. And so, but energetically speaking, you have a surplus of energy, that you definitely do need to find a way to channel, feel me? And with these placements, I'll even say this to you, that you're a sort of individual who would benefit, from having a sex partner, you feel me? In the sense that because you have your Sun in Gemini, right? Your Sun and Mercury in Gemini. So like I said earlier, Gemini is the sign, that deals with the nervous system, you feel me? And it deals with the mind, and it's mutable air as well, so it's very scattered, nervous energy, you feel me? And so, I'm a Gemini male, you feel me? So for me, the chaos, it does manifest through me, sometimes not wanting to sit still. If you're observing, you can tell that I've been moving a lot, you feel me? One thing about us Geminis is, because we're mentally restless, it's we can be sitting somewhere, but we give the appearance that we're ready to get up and go any second, any minute, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, yeah, so with that being said, it's important to find an outlet in a channel to ground yourself. As I'm speaking, I'm taking off my shoes, because the earth, for instance, is a great thing for Gemini to connect with, you feel me? Being that we're already very mentally, the more you can get yourself outside, go outside and hug a tree, right? It sounds hippie-like, but scientifically speaking, even because the tree's roots, you feel me, are so grounded underneath the earth, the tree is pulling in electrical energy, you can say, you know what I'm saying, from the earth. And so when you hug the tree, it actually neutralizes you, and it neutralizes, free radicals within your body that are known to cause stress and cancer, things like that. And with your moon being in Taurus, I feel you're probably a type of individual who naturally is already attracted to nature, you feel me? Taurus, although an earth sign, because it's the first earth sign, it's also a personal sign, you feel me? And so like the essence of earth, you feel me? The essence of nature. Because when we're thinking of earth, we also have to be thinking of nature. You feel me? The essence of nature is magical, you feel what I'm saying? And so when the moon goes into Taurus, this is a very occult, magical placement, in the sense that Taurus is a sign that also deals with harmony and balance and peace and beauty, you feel me? And being an earth sign, they're also very connected to the earth plane. But it's like, because it's the first sign, you know, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer, these signs belong to the first emanation, in the sense that, you know, the signs emanated in a sequence. And it's like Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer were the first ones to come into existence, you feel what I'm saying? Aries is like the rawest expression of fire, you feel me? Straight up. Taurus is the rawest expression of earth, you feel me? It's fixed earth. And then Gemini is the rawest expression of air, you know? And then Cancer. But it's like, these signs, because they're personal, it's like when they manifested, there was nothing outside of them but themselves to explore. And that's why Gemini deals with the mind, and it deals with the exploration of the mind, you feel me? And for you, the exploration of the mind is channeled through or manifested in the department of life dealing with your work, you feel me? So that, with that being said, it becomes of importance that the work that you're pursuing is mentally engaging you one way or another, you feel what I'm saying? Because like with that moon in Taurus, security is a must, and security is an importance. And sometimes it's like you may do things to jeopardize. No, you may do things that jeopardize yourself, but promise security. You feel me? You know, be careful with that. Doing a little something strange for a little piece of change. You feel what I'm saying? You know, jokingly, but you know, levels to that. So yeah, you know, it's the moon in the 5th house. But yeah, you know, so because it's the first earth sign, it's not detached from the earthly realm. And Tauruses are known to be drawn and attracted to like oracles and crystals and, you know, things like that, like just being psychic and tapped into their psychic energy. But unfortunately, you do need to watch out for the fact that because Taurus is a feminine negative energy, you know, it can play out as like it's mostly because it's an earth sign. It can play out through like dark magic, and dark magic at the end of the day is like when you're doing things for your own benefit and your own selfish needs and desires, you feel me? And so Taurus deals with accumulation, it deals with money and wealth, you feel me? And so, you know, it's like, you know what, no, I'll leave it at that, you know. So it's like another example of this Taurus energy, because when I say magic, I'm not really talking about like what's out there. I'm more talking about sciences of the mind, ultimately, you know. Like for example, an individual who is intellectual enough to build a whole empire that deals with scamming people, and they start to pull in millions of dollars, you feel me? Like to me, that's an expression of magic, you feel me? Like it takes great spiritual and mental power to demonstrate that, you feel what I'm saying? But that's very Taurian, you know, in the sense that, so in the Bible, you feel me, there's a story about the calf, right? And this is like, I think this is Noah, right, when they're traveling with Noah throughout the desert. Noah leaves, right, as you know, as you may know, he leaves to get the tablets, right? Yeah, the tablets, which the things are written on. The name's not coming to me. The commandments, the commandments, right? And so when he goes, the people he leaves behind, when he comes back, they are worshiping. They are worshiping like this earth, not this earth. They're worshiping like a golden calf, right? As the story goes. And so a golden calf is a baby bull, right? And so, as you know, Taurus is signified by the bull. And so a lot of things that people don't know is that the Bible is actually an allegorical book. You know, a lot of the stuff in the Bible are not meant to be taken literally. And it's like when we take these things literally is when we get lost, you feel me? yeah, you feel me, we get lost. We get lost up in the sauce. But yeah, so them worshiping the kelp was really symbolic to man losing their divine consciousness or divine awareness that they are connected to a higher power, and thus worshiping the material plane because they're disconnected from those senses that allow them to see beyond the material plane. And so they forget that these things that they have, I've came to them because of the will of the universe. And it's like, or God, the will of God, you feel me? And it's like, you can think about it this way. The microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm, in the sense that just like in this life we have certain dependencies, you feel me, on others. It's like, no matter how dependent you think you are, if you have a job, you are dependent, like there is a dependency, and this dependency manifests throughout all life as, domestic issues, domestic life, you feel what I'm saying? And so just as we are looked upon to provide, and we provide without being asked, there are also higher forces and higher powers that are like providing for us. And it's like with this Taurus energy, moon in Taurus, is that we can forget, you feel me, that these demonstrations of material success arise from like our souls, or we can forget that these material things that we are working so hard for, they're going to be one day taken from us, because we're not going to be here forever, So ultimately, Taurus, in evolutionary astrology, Taurus, once it is awoken and is conscious, it realizes first and foremost that there is divinity within the material expressions of beauty. You know what I'm saying? There is a saying, it goes, the artist doesn't per se create the beauty, but he only reveals the beauty that was already there. And so it's like, with Tauruses, it would be of value for you to explore avenues where you can see God expressing through material things, you feel me? And divinity, beauty, you should understand, is divine in the sense that it's an expression of harmony, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, ultimately, on a higher level, Tauruses have an ability to take something that's material and exalt it, you feel me, into something that's higher than just material. But furthermore, it's like Tauruses need to understand that the material things that they use, they should not sell their souls for, but they should profit their souls with, in the sense that when you gain a material thing, like comfort, you can only get so far with comfort, you feel me? You can only get so far with comfort, you feel me? So with Taurus, it's like, it's important to understand and realize that you should use your money to invest in things that are beyond like material, you feel me, but they're also dealing with like spiritual security and things like that. So like working with me, for example, is a great way of doing that. Taking your money and investing it into something that will liberate your soul. And just so you know, I offer so much more services beyond astrology. Of course I teach the birth chart and help people gain an awareness of their birth chart, but furthermore I also help people understand mental alchemy, which is the science of learning how to think constructively, is what I'm saying. Once you know your birth chart, then definitely hit me up, about that if you're interested. But yeah, that's pretty much the moon in Taurus. And so the reason why I went on the rampage about the air, earth, water, and how some signs are easily susceptible to gaining weight and others, yeah, I think I already explained it. Like with you having all that air sign, like with you having your moon in Taurus, you love food, you love eating, but you're a type of person who can eat, stuff your face, but you won't gain the weight, you feel me? Because you have that Mars in Aries, which, you know, amplifies your metabolism, which gives you all this energy as well that you need to learn how to deal with. And so I brought up sex earlier, and it's like Mars in Aries has a high sex drive, you feel me? So, and like this sexual energy, it doesn't have to play out through sex, you feel me? If you don't have someone who you feel comfortable having sex with, you feel me? Because you do have it in the 4th house, which indicates that you are a type of person who wants to be comfortable with your Gemini. But we'll get to that when we get to that, though, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, so this can even be like just you channeling that extra energy, that extra sexual energy into like a piece of art, you feel me? Some music or like a drawing or whatever it is, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, it's important to find a channel. Furthermore, you have your moon in the 5th house. Holy shit. So with your moon in the 5th house, so the 5th house is a house, you feel me? The 5th house is a house that deals with like offsprings. It belongs to the trinity of life. The 1st house, the 5th house, and the 9th house all deal with things that concern life. So the 5th house, it deals with offsprings, but it not only deals with physical offsprings that you have through having sex, you feel me, but it also deals with like offsprings of the mind, you know, creations, because the 5th house is ruled by the sign Leo, you feel what I'm saying? Hold on. Yeah, you know, the 5th house is also ruled by the sign Leo. And so with that being said, Leo is ruled by the sun. Leo deals with creativity, you know, it's a sign of the will. It also deals with expression, freedom, you feel me, authority and all these things. But the 5th house, it more deals with your creative expressions, your offsprings and your children, like how you entertain yourself ultimately, you feel me. But it also deals with like the sex life, you feel me. The 5th house, it's the house that deals with your offsprings, but it also deals with your sex life, because it's like, right, you have sex and then you have a child, you feel me? They're not separate. But yeah, so like with your moon being in the 5th house though, because the 5th house is a house that deals with the sex life and being promiscuous and like you know, even like partying and going out and enjoying yourself, like the wild side, you know, like when you think of a Leo, even though a Leo is Leos are typically the lives of the parties, you feel what I'm saying? Aries more than Leo, but Leo also, you feel what I'm saying? And so that's more like that placement, you feel me? And so with all that being said, with your moon in the 5th, with your moon being in Taurus, 5th house, you know, because the 5th house is the house of offsprings, and the moon deals with your emotions, you feel me? Like a lot of emotions are invested when it comes to like your offsprings, your children. So even if like you don't have physical children, this can be your creations, you know. So you're probably a creator of some sort. Maybe you're an artist, you feel what I'm saying? So to keep in mind that you bring a lot of energy, a lot of attention and awareness into birthing things. And so because it's in the sign Taurus, it's like these things that you may be desiring to want to birth deal with material security and stability, you feel me? Like the moon in the 5th house, it can even be energy that deals with like modeling, you know, or like modeling, taking pictures of, or like fashion, you know, making clothes, for what I'm saying. Yeah, or even like selling jewelry, I feel like with the moon in the 5th house. Yeah, but it's like ultimately also because, so your moon is exalted, you feel me? And so from my understanding, like, so with your moon being exalted, you know, like your moon in a sense is more prominent than your sun. So with your moon being more influential than your sun, right? The moon, it also deals with like the family life, you feel me? The internal like domestic needs, you know, like those needs and desires to want to be like nurtured and taken care of by another person. You feel what I'm saying? That's like very much Venus. You feel me? And so Venus, my bad, not Venus. That's very much the moon. And so the moon, it more deals with like emotional connections. You feel me? And emotional nourishment and fulfillment. And so when we're talking about emotional nourishment and fulfillment, although we can get to that by ourselves, we typically need another. You feel me? We typically need another to reach that state of being. And so in your life, others become of importance. You feel me? And so also when the moon is more prominent than the sun, these are people that are better off working with other people than trying to pursue a business of their own, in the sense that certain people, because of their energetic composition, they would do tremendously well in getting a corporate job and climbing the ladder. They'd be promoted, all these things, but then right once they go and try to start business for themselves, they will flop. You feel me? And it's like fuck, there's so much more to it than just this and the third. But looking at your placements, like you have that Capricorn energy, for example, right? Like you have like your ascendant in Capricorn, but also your Saturn in Capricorn. Capricorn is the corporate ladder. It deals with, because Capricorn is the last earth sign, you know what I'm saying? And so being the last earth sign, this is when things are because Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Virgo is the second earth sign, you feel me? And so Virgo being ruled by Mercury, the planet that deals with the mind, Virgo is more, and it's also mutable. It's mutable earth, so it's earth that's moving. That's not still, but that's liquid earth, you feel me? So like motor or like cement that's wet, that's all Virgo. But ultimately Virgo is the connection between like the mind and the body, you feel me? But then Capricorn is like once the mind has bridged into the physical world, Capricorn is like everything that came after that, so like the mind starting to build systems, institutions, like, you feel what I'm saying? And so yeah, that's Capricorn. So Capricorn is very much of this world, and it deals with security, stability, having a job, contributing even to like the wellness and welfare of society. Like Capricorn is a sign that doesn't deal with the individual, but it deals with the collective, you feel me? The wellness of the society. But yeah, anyway, so we're gonna move on, right, to like your ascendant, my bad, your Mercury, which is in Canis Major in the Decan of Fidelity in the 6th house. So real quick, so you have your moon in the Auriga, Auriga constellation within the Taurus energy, and this is the Decan of Mastership. Mastership meaning that these are individuals whom are here to master, a said X thing. And so the 5th house is the house that deals with creations, you feel me? So you're here to master your creations, your creative abilities. It's also a house that deals with self-expression, creation, self-expression, technically the same thing. And it's also a house of sexuality, and it's like, it's the same thing, because sexuality is creativity, right? Like, if you're not a sexual person, then you will lack creative juice flows, straight up, you feel what I'm saying? But like, so yeah, with the 5th house being here, Taurus in the 5th house, but it's like you're also here, like, 'cause we're talking about the moon, right? So you're ultimately here to master your inner emotional ability also, you feel what I'm saying? I wonder if, nah, that's not me. But yeah, so also this sense of emotional mastery, so you may just find yourself, because the moon is exalted in Taurus, as I said earlier, you may just find yourself a person who is very stable emotionally, but yeah, that's what it deals with, emotional mastery. So with that being said, the levels of emotional mastery which you have, I would recommend you utilizing them. I would also recommend you learning about emotional intelligence. I would also recommend you learning about like the emotional spectrum, in the sense that lower vibrational emotions are connected to each other, in the sense that you can ride a wave of emotion to a higher emotion by understanding the steps of emotions, in the sense that fear is stronger than fear is like stronger than anger. But the difference between fear and anger is that fear is more internal and anger is more outwardly, you feel me? And it's like fear, there is no like relief in fear, you feel me? But in anger there is relief, in the sense that when you're afraid you're powerless. But it's like when you're angry, you're more in a place where it's like you went through fear and you know that you're a victim, but you're ready to take things into your own hand, you feel what I'm saying? And so anger is more powerful than fear. But then there are unfortunately the emotional the emotional spectrum to me is not clear. It's the emotional scale, like those are things I would recommend you learning and getting into, because with the moon in Taurus you have an ability to stabilize yourself emotionally, in the sense that even when chaos is taking place with your sun being in Gemini, chaos is inevitable, because Gemini is a chaotic sign, you feel me? It's inevitable. But like with the moon being in Taurus, you have this ability to be calm and collective within the chaos, you feel me? I feel like this moon in Taurus, Cancer, and Gemini produces people that become masters of chaos. They learn to bring order in a chaotic setting, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, so now let's look at your Gemini. Let's look at your Mercury. So you have Mercury in Gemini, the deacon of fidelity. So there are certain thoughts, you feel what I'm saying, with this placement here. There are certain thoughts that you find yourself being loyal to that you may need to let go of, you feel what I'm saying? So like fidelity, okay, so first and foremost, this is the deacon of Gemini. This is sub-ruled by the planet Venus, and it's a merge, between like the Libra and the Gemini energy. So these are the Geminis that are more inclined towards friendships and relationships, because the first, it deals with intuition, the last deals with reason, the middle deals with relationships and loyalty and friendships, you feel me? So one of the stories associated with Gemini, to make a long story short, a guy is accused wrongly of a crime, you know what I'm saying? And so what happened was he was persecuted and to die, he was given death sentence. And so one of his friends, because this guy, right, he wanted to prove that it wasn't him, and all he wanted was a chance. So his best friend, right, pulled up and he was like, I will hold this position while he goes to get the proof, and at sunrise, if he comes, then he will take back the position. If he doesn't come, then I will die, you feel what I'm saying? And so that is like the level, that was to signify the level of loyalty that Geminis have an ability to have with their friends, you feel me? Because like when we're talking of the twins, like this can be a twin that you find, this can be like someone that comes to you that you see yourself in, even, you feel me? Because Gemini is a very idealistic sign, so we tend to project ideas and thoughts even. But ultimately, with this placement, I would say, like, first and foremost, make sure that you do a thorough assessment of like your thinking and your ideologies and your thoughts. And so I also want to let you know that Mercury is in the 6th house, and so Mercury is also pouring energy into your work life, you feel me? And so the sun, it deals with your focus, it deals with your focus, like your drive and the things that you're bringing the most energy into, the things that you're serious about, like the things that you're passionate about. And these deal with like your work life and your thoughts and your mind. These are the things that are more passionate, that drive, that give you a drive. You know what I'm saying? Not even drive, it's more like identity. These are things that you identify with: your work life, your mind, your thoughts, your ideas, things like that. The Mercury is like the things that you think on. So with you having both Mercury and the Sun in the same places, the things that you identify with, which are your work and your mind, are also and your thoughts and your ideas, and the way that you may communication, and like the way that you may come across to people. I think these are things that Geminis, we concern ourselves with, because we want to be understood. Communication. Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So, bro, that was not it. In case you're wondering, I'm eating like some mushrooms and some fish. Yeah, I haven't ate all day, so I had to eat. I couldn't eat later because after I get done making this video, it's gonna be so late. But yeah, so with Mercury, when Mercury is in Gemini, the mind becomes like quick, first and foremost, you feel me? When Mercury is in Aries, Gemini, Aquarius, Aries, Gemini, and Aquarius, in these three signs, Mercury is like on one, in the sense that it's very natural and flow when it comes to its ability to think and process information and assess things and break things down, you feel me? Because what Mercury is all about. And so Gemini is also a curious sign, in the sense that Gemini goes through the world wanting to find out why, why. The child in the classroom who is asking why to everything is most likely a Gemini, you feel me? We're very curious and we want to explore and find out. And so when Mercury goes into Gemini, it is very explorative and very articulate and communicative, Mercury and Gemini individuals are individuals who are not afraid to articulate and express their thoughts, their ideas, and what they're thinking about, what I'm saying. And the negative thing about this is that, like I talked about earlier, are disassociation with emotion, and so sometimes speaking but not realizing that our words can trigger people, you feel me? But so when Mercury is in Gemini also, one thing that should be avoided is overthinking, you feel me? But spreading your thoughts thin, right? Because Gemini is mutable air, you feel what I'm saying? And so with being mutable air, this is air that's spread it out. And so air is thoughts, ideas, and so this also expresses us having many different connections, many different friendships, but not really pouring into one specific friendship, but being spread out into different friendships, you feel me? This can even be us being spread out into different hobbies that we want to do, and so another thing, it's just spread out energy, period. Because one thing about us Geminis, right, is we like to do something, but then we'll pick something else up and want to do that, because we get our attention spans can be very short, and on top of that which is the sparkliest attracts us Gemini. Do you feel what I'm saying? And so with that being said, as a Gemini, especially with the Mercury being here too, it's important to have goals for yourself. With that Mars and Aries, because Aries is a sign that thrives when it's purposeful, when it has a purpose and a goal that it's just striving for, because Aries, as you know, is as you may know, it's born in the spring, its season is the spring season, so it's all about birth and newness, you feel me? And also Aries is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., because the signs, they rule the different times of the days, and Aries is 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., so with all these energies, you can understand that It's all about drive, all about focus. You feel me? When I was talking about Gemini and I brought up the importance of goals, but like I feel like your Mars and Aries is going to benefit more from you having a clear idea on your goals than your Gemini. But like your Gemini placements are gonna benefit in the sense that, see, with us Geminis, our problems can be prioritized, you know, because Gemini wants to do everything that they end up doing nothing. You feel what I'm saying? And so it's important that you know your priorities and the things that you want to do, you know, that are the most important to you. And then you start doing them. But also to avoid like the Geminian tendency to want to include variety, you know, you should pursue the things that you're doing but through different channels. You feel me? So for example, maybe you make music. So okay, I make music, right? So like for me, well, you know what, for me to really talk about what I do, it's not that what I do is like, you know, I have a lot of 9th house energy in my chart, so that's the house of teaching. You feel me? So I teach, and so through my music I teach. You feel what I'm saying? Through my art, because I also draw. Gemini rules drawing, by the way. Through my drawings I teach. You feel me? Through my videos I teach. Through my day-to-day conversations with people I teach. You feel me? So it's like I'm doing the same thing, which is teaching these occult knowledges and wisdoms, but I'm using the different platforms. You feel me? So thus my desire as a Gemini for variety is satisfied. But see, negatively, us Geminis, our negative attribute is our change ability. You feel me? We can be unreliable because we're continuously always changing. You feel me? Like our changeability. You feel me? So that's one thing that you should pay attention to, you know, especially like with your interactions with people. Like what is the energy you're bringing? Are you like one person today and you're another person tomorrow? You feel me? These are things I also think you should peak game and become aware of. But ultimately with Mercury and Gemini, you know, like I was saying earlier, your mind becomes important and you need to learn how to develop your mind. You feel what I'm saying? Like with Mercury and the Deacon of Fidelity, like friendships become of importance to you as well, you know, and you enjoy communicating with friends. And it's like one way that you receive mental nourishment is through having friends around you. So also you're a type of person, having a group of people is going to benefit you more than being by yourself. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, so that's pretty much the Mercury sixth house placement. Also with Mercury being in the 6th house, you feel me, like Mercury, this is cool because Mercury is at home, because Mercury rules the 6th house, because it rules Virgo, the 6th sign. Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini. You feel me? So with this placement right here, Mercury in the 6th house, this gives Mercury a channel to be able to take its thoughts and ideas and make them into physical reality and physical existence. Because the 6th house, so the 3rd house, right, it more deals with ideas, thoughts, and beliefs. And then the 4th house more deals with the emotions that are infused within these thoughts and beliefs. And then the 5th house more deals with, once the emotion and the thought merge, what is the will that expresses. So it's like the will, you feel me? But then like the 6th house is when it's all done and like there's a system, you know, that you can analyze and operate and take from, you feel me, and learn about. And so with that being said, the 6th house is when the idea has already come into existence, you feel me? It deals with labor, it deals with service, it deals with routines, it deals with health, you know, things like that. All things that ask for you to have like some sort of mental structure already put in place, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, so first and foremost, from my understanding also, like with this placement, you know, Mercury does become psychic in the sense that this is the house where the, because Virgo is a sign where the thoughts and ideas from the from the mental plane become physical. So when Mercury is in the sixth house, not only that it becomes easier for it to materialize its thoughts, but also the sixth house is a house of health, right? And Mercury deals with like skills also. So one of your skills probably do deal with health. You may have some good health techniques or whatever, or it just may be that one thing that's on your mind continuously is health. Maybe needing to eat more healthy or whatever it may be. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, so that's like Mercury. Now let's look at like your Venus. You know what I'm saying? So Venus. So you have Venus in the Aruga constellation within the decan of mastership in Taurus in the fifth house. So the fifth house, like I said earlier, is a house, right, that deals with partying. So with your Venus being in the fifth house, one way you receive pleasure for yourself is through going out and partying, socializing, enjoying yourself. Maybe going out to the club, or like maybe hanging out with some friends. You feel me? Or even maybe like hosting a party at your house. You feel me? Because so ultimately Taurus in the fifth house indicates that your entertainments deal with sensuality. So like eating a really, really good food is entertaining to you. So I feel like one thing you should maybe look out for is like eating for entertainment, you feel me? And not eating certain shit that's just straight up weird because it's entertaining to you. But yeah, with the Venus being in the fifth house, first and foremost, most definitely going out to parties and enjoying yourself, does become of importance, or entertaining yourself, period. Throughout the week, like taking the time to maybe go out and have some fun, is valuable to your energy. But also with Venus being in Taurus, relaxation. Like relaxation is another way in which you can like recuperate your energy, recuperate yourself and recuperate your energy. So like make sure that you have ample time in your life also to like just sit down and chill, you feel me? Like straight up just sit down and do nothing, but like sit down, ground yourself, and be in your body, you feel me? I feel like this is also very important for Gemini, because I think Gemini can be very disconnected from its body because it's more connected to its mind. And so yeah, do things like I said earlier, go out into nature, you feel me? Do things that will help you connect more with your body. Like maybe buy like some oils, right? Like rose oil is so beautiful, because rose oil is ruled by Venus, you feel me? Because Venus rules roses. So I get rose oil, and like just start rubbing it on your body. And it's like if you have a partner, you feel me, then have them do sensual things like that for you. Have them, like rub your body, massage your body, things like that. Very Taurian things, that Taurus enjoys. And these are very much things that are going to help you like unwind and get into like your feelings and your emotions, you know what I'm saying? And even going out into parties really helps you get into like your feelings and your emotions, or just finding ways to entertain yourself, like maybe going to like the cinema, and watching a movie. But like with Venus and Taurus, it's probably like going out to eat, or maybe like you probably enjoy music, so demonstrating, because the fifth house being ruled by Leo, it's also a house that deals with expressions of like one's talent, but it's creative expression, right? Expression of creativity. You feel me? But ultimately with Venus being in Taurus, this is also energy that deals more with like moving slow, and like moving slow and like not wanting to rush things in a relationship. Even though Aries and Gemini are very spontaneous, and they like, so it's a mixed energy between like you wanting this person to like take it slow with you. You enjoy the traditional dating, the traditional scene of dating, but at the same time with that Mars and Aries, like you have a great like sexual appetite. You feel what I'm saying with Mars and Aries. Mars is in Aries, but it's in Aries in the 4th house. So, at the same time though, with Mars being in the 4th house in Aries, it's like certain energies dealing with sex, because we have a sex identity, right? Like our identity dealing with sex. Because Mars is in the 4th house, the house of family, there are certain energies from your upbringing, your childhood, that deal with sexuality that you need to, deal with and arise. You feel me? A lot of the times, Mars in the 4th house deals with like emotional, physical, and even sexual abuse. You feel what I'm saying? And so yeah, with Mars being here in Aries. But yeah, back to what I was saying with Venus and Taurus though. These are people that want to be able to possess their partners. They don't see their partners like they see their partners as like a part of them, and so also because Venus, not Venus but Taurus is a perfectionist. They like to see things, they like a beauty, a certain beauty. And so a negative also can be that you may project certain expectations onto your partner, and also like being stubborn in our ways, like being stubborn about our habits. Like for me, like I smoke weed, for example, and I think I'm stubborn about it, like stopping, because I can see how it benefits me. For what I'm saying, it's like, but anyways, it's at this point, like being stubborn in our habits that bring us joy and pleasure. Feel me? Just doing certain things, even though we know it's bad for us, but we do it just because it's good to us. Like that can be very much Venus and Taurus, and that can be a negative attribute, that we can do assessment on and look at other things. That's what I'm saying. But there is great loyalty with Venus and Taurus. Also great expression of fashion. Also beauty. Very much beauty. People with their Venus and Tauruses are typically beautiful and attractive. But I think we Geminis have a beauty about us as well. A unique beauty about us. But yeah, so that's a cool thing as well, with your Venus being in Taurus. Like with your Venus being in Taurus, but also your moon being in Taurus, you're endowed by Venus's beauty. She beautifies you, she makes you attractive. But unfortunately, Venus, she is a sign that deals with illusion, the Maya. In the sense that beauty is an illusion. Beauty, and I know earlier I was talking about how beauty is an expression of the divine, and this is true. Not the divine, but harmony. This is true because for a thing to be beautiful, it has to be of a certain like symmetric, measurement. Like if you really think about it, things that are disproportionate and out of shape are ugly to us. We see something and like it looks weird, like it doesn't make sense, so it's ugly. But then when something is like perfect, and it's like lines or like whatever, you feel what I'm saying, and we're like, wow, that's beautiful. But at the end of the day, that's what it is. But it's like, so with that being said, sometimes with us Tauruses, we can have a desire to want the shallow facade of beauty. We may think like, wow, I want that. But then it's like we get to it and we realize that that beauty which was promised to us wasn't all that we thought it would be. What I'm saying. So that's also an important thing, because we are very material. It's important to have a very good balance between the material and an understanding that this material thing is not like the beauty that I'm seeing from this material is false. It's an illusion. It's not true. Like in the sense that money will never bring you emotional fulfillment. Genuine connections dealing with love will bring you emotional fulfillment. Before I'm saying, So it's important to understand that as a, as a Taurus. But yeah, that's the Venus in the 5th house, you feel what I'm saying? Now let's look at Mars. So we've been talking about Mars, right? So you have Mars, and by the way, Venus is also in the Decan of Mastership, which indicates that another thing you're here to do is master, like, your ability to enjoy yourself and entertain yourself first and foremost, and your ability to bring joy and pleasure to yourself, but not only that, to others as well, you feel me? Like, I'm very much seeing energies of, like, maybe you're a party planner, you feel me? You feel what I'm saying? A party planner type energy, maybe. But yeah, so that's like Mars and Taurus, Mars and Aries. So Mars is at home when it's in Aries. This is like the god of war, and it's sitting on his throne, and so with that being said, aggression and anger, you feel me, these are things that you need to learn to manage, you feel me, and when I say manage, I mean in the sense that, you see, I'm a very conscious person, right, and I'm an alchemist as well, right, so I know how to shift through the different emotions, like on my radio, like a radio dial, I know how to get mad by focusing on Mars energy, by focusing, like on the color red, and like the thought trends of Mars, and so then getting angry because I tuned myself to the energy of Mars, but then I know how to become like feminine and nurturing and caring by tapping myself to the moon, Venus or Saturn, feel me? So different energies, and it's like, I say that to say that anger is not a bad thing, it's not a bad thing at all, and anger is also a variation of passion, a variation, anger is a variation of passion, a variation of like inspiration and motivation, you feel what I'm saying, but we'll say more like motivation, passion, determination are energies of anger, likened to anger. So it's like, just because you're angry doesn't really mean that a bad thing, because you can take that anger and turn it into force, you feel me, turn it into passion, turn it into energy, you feel me. And so yeah, that's the beautiful thing about this placement. You become a person who is very, 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 very much passionate, and you have this energy about you of like, I got this, and if no one believes in me, I believe in myself. This is a very persistent, determined energy, because Mars is a planet of strife, but then Aries is the sign, the first sign, the sign that deals with the ego, the me, the I, so Aries doesn't let strife overtake them. So you're a type of person who is a warrior at heart, you feel me, and it's like, no matter what is thrown to you in life, you will overcome it, you feel me. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty, you're not afraid to, I guess we can say, like, you're not afraid to go through the things that you need to go through to secure the bag, like at the end of the day, your desire is like security and stability, but you're a Gemini, then your Mars is in Aries, so you will risk it for the biscuit. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you're also a very spontaneous person, you're not a person who completely likes to play it safe, even though majority you do like to play it safe, because you do have that Capricorn and that Saturn energy, but there's also another wild part of you, right? Gemini, the dualistic, so there's a part of you that's all responsible and has her shit together. There's probably another part of you that's like all about partying, and you feel what I'm saying, all about partying and saying fuck it. So yeah, it's in the Eridanus, so your Mars is in the area of the stars and the constellation that deals with the Eridanus stars, you feel what I'm saying, and it's also within the Decan of Exaltation, so this is straight up raw energy, you feel me. And so with this energy, you should know that whatever you put your mind to, you can do, you feel me. You have great ample amounts of energy flowing through you, that you should utilize once you have your goals set down, and and like with this energy, I'm pretty sure you already have something going for you, and already have ideas of what you want to do, you feel me? So write those goals down, and once you do, once you write those goals down, start to channel that sporadic, spread it out energy into those goals, you feel me, into those motivations. And so also with Mars being here, you feel me, motivations around that deal with the self become of great importance. But this is energy of like finding yourself after being broken by like your family. And the reason I put it like that is because like when Mars is in Aries, you feel me, and I'm getting mad myself because like you know, I'm channeling energy, you feel me, tapping into your energy. And it's like, you know, when Mars is in Aries, man, my bad, not Mars is in Aries, when the 4th house is ruled by Aries, which it is, oh man, it's so hard, I want to cry. I feel for you, you know. When Mars is in Aries, you know, Aries is a sign that deals with the self, it deals with the me, it deals with the I. But then like the 4th house is a house that deals with the family, you know, it deals with connection, it deals with emotions, you know. And so honestly, it can play out in 2 ways. One way, maybe you are like the only child, you feel me, and like and because you were the only child, your family loved you and they spoiled you. But the Mars isn't also in there. But what most likely happened was, growing up, your dynamic in your relationship with your family probably was hard and troublesome. In the sense that maybe you were a rebellious person in of yourself, and maybe you're always yourself getting into trouble in school. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like that can be very much the Gemini energy, you know. But like ultimately, here Mars in the 4th house in Aries is like energy where it's like you may have growing up felt like you were alone, and even though within your family, like for some reason, like you just didn't belong, you didn't fit in, you feel me? But with Mars being there also, like a struggle that deals with emotions has arisen, a struggle that deals with connecting with others and the emotional basis has arisen. And also, you know, this can be sexual abuse even, you feel me, or an energy of feeling like isolation and alone. And so thus today, living in this world feeling like you have no one and like you can't trust people, you know, like that's a possibility as well because of like the life experiences you went through. And so thus, of course, having friends, like a selective few friends, because you know, you have that Mercury in Gemini. Although Gemini, even though an air sign, are typically known to be solo dolo and kept to themselves, you know, so that is a possibility. But yeah, with the Mars and Aries though, you are a person who is about your business, and you're probably always on the move, doing something. But one thing you have to understand is that when Mars goes into the 4th house, emotional energy arises, you know, emotional trauma arises. And so when I say emotional trauma, this is what I mean. Having emotions inside of you that are subconscious, but that are causing havoc in your life. But it's like, you know that you have internal conflict emotion, right, that arises from your upbringing, your family, familial energy, you feel me? Because that's what the 4th house is all about. Your childhood, excuse me, mushrooms, man, pressure. Yeah, upbringing, you know. So it's important for you to the skeletons, get them out of the closet. Also, therapy, you know, would probably be something that's beneficial to you, especially being a Gemini. Also, you know, Geminis like to talk, right? So maybe getting into therapy. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much it, for like Mars and Aries in the fourth house, if what I'm saying. But anyways, let's move on to your next placement, which is your Jupiter. And you have Jupiter, but then I'm going to check to see now. And you have Jupiter in Cancer in the 7th house, you feel me? Which is interesting. So like right here with you having your Jupiter in the 7th house, one thing that happens here is, so the 7th house is a house that deals with relationships and partners, you feel me? Cancer deals with nourishment and sustenance, you feel what I'm saying? So with you having Jupiter in the 7th house, it's an indication that through your relationships you do receive blessings, you feel me? You do attract people that are generous, people that are kind, people that are centered and anchored within their heart, you feel me? But at the same time, you do have Saturn and Capricorn opposing Jupiter, and so it can even play out as like maybe you and these good people that you attract receive opposition from like an outside source. This can even be like, I feel like Jupiter in the 7th house in Cancer is very hippie vibes, very peace and love, namaste energy. But then like Capricorn is like the police and like different. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that bug right there. What I'm saying. I'll try to focus it real quick. Oh no, you can't see it anymore. Things we Geminis get distracted. Things we Geminis get distracted by. But yeah, so yeah, it can also play out that way where it's like you attract nice, beautiful, harmonious energies, but then something or someone comes and it takes it from you. That's what I'm saying. Alright, so first and foremost, Jupiter being in Cancer in the 7th house. So, Cancer is a very emotional sign. It deals with feelings and emotions, and that type of energy. That's what I'm saying. But then, Jupiter is all about expansion, and it expands energy and it bestows abundance to the individual. Jupiter is also like our life experiences, but in the sense that when you have life experiences, what is it that you extract from these life experiences? And so Cancer is a sign that deals with the family life. And so Jupiter not only deals with experiences, but what you learn from those experiences. And so with that being said, for you, it's like when it comes to your experiences with your family, they are of great importance and you have taken a lot from them, and it's important for you to assess your beliefs, even, for example, and are these beliefs of your own, or are they beliefs that you got from your upbringing and your family and like your mother? Like with this Jupiter and Cancer energy, there can be a energy of the mother where it's like she is very holy and righteous. The possibility, where like the individual sees their mother as someone who knows it all and has all the wisdom. But typically, the mother is wise, and so with Saturn and Jupiter, opposing each other, this can even play out, in the signs that they're in. It can play out as like a clash between like your mother and your father, you feel me, type energy, and like maybe not having your father growing up or something like that, because we already know that Mars is in the 4th house, so there is a struggle that manifests in the familial home life. And so this energy it's attracted to you, like, you feel me, even when like you're far ahead of your childhood and like you're starts to build your own relationship. Watch out for energies that are going to attract strife in your love life and family life, you feel me? It's important for you to watch out for Mars in your family life. And so Mars manifests as aggression, anger, a lack of compromising, I feel is also very Martian, in the sense that I'll leave it at that. It's also very Martian, is what I'm saying. So Jupiter and Cancer, these are individuals who have huge hearts. They're very generous in giving, You know, they care about everyone. You know, they like to nurture and nourish people. You feel me? They like to nurture and nourish. Yeah, people. I'll leave it at that. You feel me? But it's like they may sometimes neglect to nourish and take care of themselves, but because they're so busy filling up everyone else's cup, the cup may become empty. You know, but these are very much individuals who have huge hearts and have a large capacity to love and take care of. You know, they enjoy taking care of people that can't help or take care of themselves. You know, they you feel what I'm saying? And yeah, you know, I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. So with Jupiter being in Cancer, also it's important to start to learn how to trust your intuition and the voices of your head. You feel me? But ultimately your intuition. You know, it's important to also learn to trust. Yeah, the voices in your head, but learn to like communicate and connect with your ancestors. You feel what I'm saying? I feel like with Jupiter in Cancer here, there is great benefit and value, possibly from like cultivating and creating emotional close connections. You feel what I'm saying? And so pulling from those emotional close connections you already have, in the sense that you can extract a lot of knowledge and wisdom from, you know, those close relationships you have. And so if you happen to do have a relationship with your mother, a close one, you feel what I'm saying, then yeah, that's like one thing that you want to know, that there's great knowledge and wisdom within those experiences. But ultimately great knowledge and wisdom comes when you allow yourself to experience your emotions. You feel me? And I feel like when it comes to your past, you shouldn't per se extract information from it, from the Geminian aspect of things, but extract information from it from how were you feeling when you were going through set experiences. How did certain experiences make you feel versus other experiences, you feel what I'm saying? And then choose to follow and operate according to those feelings which you're already familiar with, you feel me? So like if you remember a love, right, or maybe your art, like let's say you don't have a partner and you remember a love you shared with someone in your past, you know, go back to that feeling, you know, and remember what it felt like and everything like that. And then once you have that feeling, then you can actually go on to reproduce that experience again with someone else by holding on to that familiarity, to that feeling. And so eventually, because you're practicing it internally inside of you, you're practicing having this feeling that originated from you experiencing love, eventually you'll attract love to yourself again, you know what I'm saying? But that is with everything, you know. If it's money, then think about those emotions with money, and then, you know, go on to expand it, you know what I'm saying, by feeling it and feeding onto it. But yeah, you know, so also with the Jupiter being in the 7th house, partnerships become of great importance to you, feel me? Especially those partnerships that more deal with nourishment and taking care of, being taken care of, you know. I feel like this, because Cancer is very maternal energy, you know, so you may be even attracted to feminine men, you know. You may like men who are in their feminine aspects and energies and counterparts, you know, like, because you and of yourself are pretty masculine woman, you know. You have your feminine attributes, of course, you know. You have your looks, you know, your beauty. Then, you know, you are very intellectual, which is more masculine. Very self-driven, you know, which is also masculine. And so, of course, the individual you attract, the people, the men you attract to you are likely going to be more feminine than masculine. That's what I'm saying. Even though Mars in Aries, you know, sexually, you may be the type of person who likes it rough, you know, aggressive, you know, like, maybe, but, you know, there is that duality between Cancer and Mars. And so in the next session, we'll be looking at your planets, and we'll be talking about how they join each other to, you know, build certain energies, if that makes sense. Like how they collaborate with each other, you know, so how like Mercury, which is your thinking ability, and Saturn, which is your past, and how you compartmentalize, deal with each other. Okay, so first and foremost, let's talk about your Saturn. Your Saturn, unfortunately, is in the 1st house in the sign Capricorn. So with your Saturn being in Capricorn, you're the type of person who has an ability, right, as we already talked earlier, to ground yourself into this world and create a system and a structure and a routine and follow a discipline. This is a sign that kind of does what it has to does, and Saturn and Capricorn are individuals who are opportunistic. They can seize opportunities around them, and they're willing also to sacrifice and put short-term gratification for long-term gratification. Put short-term gratification aside for long-term gratification. These are the individuals who can do things where time is involved. Because Capricorn deals with time, Saturn also deals with time. So you're a very patient person. Like with Saturn being in Capricorn here, credibility is of importance as well. So like whatever you do, maybe you went and got your credentials to do it, you feel me? But ultimately, with Capricorn and Saturn, these are individuals who also take into consideration like the society's welfare, and adding to society. It's like not the seventh, but Cancer, the opposite sign of Capricorn, deals with the home life and pouring into the home life. Meanwhile, Capricorn, the opposite sign of Cancer, deals with the public life, and pouring into like business and industry and status, you feel me? So that's one of the dualities and polarities. And so with your Saturn being in the first house, you're a sort of person who you care a lot and you're concerned a lot with what you are building, with your systemization, maybe with your job even, but ultimately also with those more like restrictive energies, with those more harsh energies, with Saturn being in the first house. Great self-doubt appears, and the self-image is even misconstrued, and it's like you need to get into psychology and learn how to develop your self-image, and if you like, I would definitely love to help you with that. We can do like a little session, and I'll walk you through how to build a self-image according even, and I'll give the benefit of the benefit that I'll have your birth chart, so I'll be able to tell you about certain things about I'm already doing this for you, but yeah, if you're interested, definitely let me know, and we can book that session. And it won't be like this, it'll be a live session, over the phone. It'll be 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes, and it'll be $45, you feel me, for the whole session. And if you're interested in that, learning about your self-image and how to develop it, and my tools that I use to develop my self-image, and I'll be more than happy to counsel you in that way, for what I'm saying. But yeah, that's very much like with Saturn is in Capricorn, self-image and self-doubt problems, also like compromising yourself, or like feeling yourself not worthy of being in power because there are outside powers more stronger than you feel what I'm saying? And also it's like, Jupiter is a planet that deals with abundance and blessings, and Cancer is a maternal energy. And so it's like Saturn opposing your Jupiter, to me, is like, because you shared with me that dream, there's a lot of course going on in your chart, like with your fifth house being in your moon being in the fifth house. It makes sense that you're dreaming about your offsprings and your children. But then it's like with Jupiter being in Cancer, there is a divinity, a divine connection that's going to be channeled through maternal energy. So whenever you do have your child, one way or another, there's going to be the sense of divinity that's manifested through that motherhoodness energy. Like motherhood for you is going to teach you so much about like love and like your heart chakra and things like that, you know what I'm saying? But then Saturn is opposing Jupiter, so it makes sense that in your dream, right, which is the moon, and it's in the fifth house. So the moon is in the fifth house, the house of offsprings and children, and then Jupiter is in the seventh house, which actually deals with personal partnerships and relationships. And then Saturn is in the first house, which actually deals with you. So at the end of the day, like that dream that you had, and those people like who took her away from you, like it's like you know, with the first house being in Capricorn, it's like the restrictions and limitations aren't so much imposed by the world, but those restrictions and limitations are more so imposed by you and by your identity and by what you think of yourself and things like that. You feel what I'm saying? So even though in your dream world, and I can't tell you exactly, you know, but this is just from your chart. If it resonates, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you know, ultimately, it's like there's certain attributes and qualities about you that took your child away from you. You know, seeing that, you know, Saturn opposing Jupiter, and it's all happening in your 5th house. You feel me? But like ultimately, yeah. So Capricorn is a energy that deals with hardship and trials and tribulation, and this is because, as you know, Capricorn is the mountain goat, right? The goat that climbs the mountains. And so with that being said, understand that, yeah, you know, I'll leave it at that. Okay, yeah. But, you know, my friend, that pretty much concludes this session of the reading for you. In the next session, we'll be talking about the different houses. 1st to 12th house, you know, so we'll talk about your ascendant. But as we're talking about the houses, we'll also talk about how the planets are aspecting each other in these different houses. And that will be the next session. But, you know, even this session, you know, has been so deep and thorough. So I would definitely appreciate it, you know, if you can write me a little review, you know, write your review on your Facebook, hopefully, and then, like, you know, tag me in it. That way, you know, if you have friends that are interested in getting a reading, they'll see it and they'll come, you know, for me and get business, you know. But if you know anyone who's interested in, you know, getting their birth chart done, would benefit from it, definitely let them know. But yeah, you know that consultation is on the table if you're interested, and we can get on it and I'll help you learn how to develop your self-image properly. You feel me? The tools that I use to develop my own self-image, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, without further ado, this has been the reading I did for you. So yeah, thank you, peace. Definitely let me know what you think. I'm excited to hear your feedback. Alright, namaste.